Zitian finds a way to get into his mind and murder him. That's right. Gagged me. Not even 100 pages in, and she's already completed her revenge plot. So in this lore, forget Hercules, forget Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They're both losing in a battle against Achilles, okay? They might be big, but he's a twink, and nothing beats the power of a twink. Hey y'all. Oh fuck. Forgot my emo nose ring. Better. Okay, hey y'all, it's been a minute. If you can't tell, I'm sick. I've never had allergies before, but for some reason now I do. In case you didn't know, I went to New York with my art program. So if you want to see like a vlog or anything, I did do that. There's 2 videos on my channel about that. They're just like silly little vlogs about my trip. They're basically the same thing, but one's a longer version, one's a shorter version. Also, while I was gone, we hit like 150 something subs, which is crazy. Absolutely wild. When I say hey y'all, and by y'all I mean no one, because no one's watching this, I actually mean that. Like, I genuinely don't think that people are gonna like watch my videos, because I kind of just rant about something and then spit it out on the internet and just kind of like see if it sticks, but usually it doesn't, and I'm okay with that. But like, it's been sticking, so it's kind of cool that like more than 100 people specifically on my like Dracula video like wanted to see what I was saying, so that was cool. Thanks guys. Since there's a couple new people here, hi, you can call me Merlin. That's not my actual name. I just say that because people are crazy on the internet, okay? I'm not trying to get doxxed. Like,
Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells.
Let's have a little bit of privacy here. On my channel, I talk mostly about books. I do my makeup. Sometimes I talk about like fashion, beauty, shows. It's really just whatever like kind of like interests me that week. But yeah, I mostly do my makeup in almost every video because it's fun, and I'm delusional and think I'm an influencer girly when really I'm not, and I don't have very many makeup products. It's okay. We ball. Like I said before, yeah, my video about like Dracula and goth culture, it got a lot of traction. I was not expecting that. I received a couple recommendations for goth music. Just know, I listened, and the people who commented, they ate down. Those are on my playlist now, so thank you for that. If you have any more recommendations, let me know, because I will listen to those. Yeah, I really appreciate the love that video got, so thank you, and I hope this one is also a video that people like. But if they don't, that's okay, because I think I'll like it, and that's what really matters. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, like always, my script is here. For the past couple of videos, I've been raw dogging it, but I have a script today because I need a script. Like, come on. So if you see me looking here, no you don't. Don't be an op. Let's move on. So I read 2 new books. Who would have thought? Me, an avid reader. Because I took both books out in the library, I only have Iron Widow because I got renewed, but I wasn't able to get Song of Achilles renewed because I had that like a couple months ago. But yeah, so the first one I read was Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Have you heard of it? And then the second one is Iron Widow by Ziran. Let me look it up. It's by Ziran J. Zhao. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce her name. My emperor, my queen, my legend. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. Call that the white in me. That's the half colonizer in me. I'll work on it, I promise. But I did go on to their YouTube channel and try to spell their name and like pronounce their name and all the other names of the people in the book, but I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. So yeah, the book by Ziran J. Zhao is Iron Widow. What I love about the combination of these 2 books is they're both queer historical fiction novels based off of real-ish people, kind of. They're like loose interpretations, and for the sake of Madeline Miller's, it's like Greek mythology, so they might not actually be real people, but it's like real stories that were told. And then for Iron Widow, it was like a real person, but completely reimagined, like completely overhauled. But yeah, I'll get into that later. Also, a disclaimer, I finished reading Iron Widow yesterday, and I started reading both of these, I think I said before, like a month ago. Midterms just happened. My brain is a massive pile of mush. Imagine you're in a cafeteria. You're pulling up with your tray. Please sir, can I have some more? Cafeteria lady takes a scoop of whatever the fuck is in her like tray. It's a big mound of like unidentifiable mush. She plops that shit on your plate, and you're just left to your devices. You don't know what it is. You don't know if it's poison. You don't know if it's edible. That's my brain, okay? I don't remember shit about this plot or the characters, so you should probably just read the books yourself. Watch the video anyway. Don't get it twisted, watch the video anyway, because I think I'm funny, and you should think I'm funny too.
Or else.
Also, I've been told that my voice is very therapeutic. I take that as one of my biggest flexes in life, aside from the fact that I am double jointed in my elbows.
But imagine how tired we are. Imagine how tired we are of it.
Anyways, first book I'll be talking about today is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Have you heard of it? No? Wake up babe. Queer books have been all the rage on TikTok. It's actually how I found out about the book. Someone talked about it and I was like, oh cool. And then I forgot, and then it was on like my library and I was like, oh, let me read that. Also, I'm gonna take a minute to say my skin looks really nice. It's so not nice right now. Like, it's really bad, but the camera makes it look really nice because the quality is really bad, and then probably when I upload this on YouTube it's gonna be even worse quality, so it will look even better. Like, okay camera, okay technology, working in my favor. I took off my glasses and I can't read my script now because I'm virtually blind, but let's not talk about that. Also, today I'm going to be reviewing a product I recently got. This is called the Juicy Lasting Tint from Rom, and this thing, Influencer Girly. My sister recently got it for me because she is my certified sugar mommy without the sugar. It's like a Korean brand, I think, and it's just like a lip tint. It's shade 21 Deep Sangria. Okay, Influencer Girly, and I just been looking for a red lip and I finally got it and I'm really happy, so I'm happy to try it out in front of you guys. I'm gonna be using it as both a lip tint and a blush and maybe an eyeshadow because I'm broke and products are multi-use. There's no rules to makeup, there's only guidelines. So if you never heard of this book before, I low-key pity you and simultaneously pride myself in being your introduction because I'm such a literature girly. Look at me being a top scholar, English major who? So have you ever heard of the Trojan War? Well, that's what the book's about, but not really because there's only like half of the book is about the Trojan War and the rest is just like about other stuff. But it's about the Trojan War, but also make it really fucking gay because why not? This is the 21st century, baby. So I'm gonna need you to shut your eyes and imagine that it's like the 12th or the 13th century BCE and you're in ancient Greece, okay? Close your eyes, just imagine it. You're the son of a king who is high-key an asshole, and he hates both you and your mom because he has like a superiority complex and he thinks that you're both the stupidest people on the planet, which is basically just me when I was in the 3rd grade because I literally thought everyone was stupid and I was the smartest person on the planet. Like, don't worry, I was humbled. Anyways, you're really small and you get bullied all the time. So one day, this motherfucker tries to test you, alright? He tries to steal your dice. You're like, no bitch, that's my motherfucking dice. So naturally, when he tries to punch you, you bash his head in with a rock. So that's the life of our main character, Patroclus. He's about 9 years old. And because Patroclus is a prince, and instead of being executed for his crimes, he just gets disowned by his father and is forced to live with Peleus, the father of Achilles, who is a famous boy who is born half god and half human. So basically he's a demigod, and literally all my knowledge of Greek mythology comes from Percy Jackson and that phase I went through in like the 5th grade where Greek mythology was literally my special interest. I really wish I retained my knowledge from that time, but darling, I've forgotten everything. There's literally no thoughts up here. Okay, my first thoughts on this product, it doesn't really show up. I think it's because I'm using this brush which is sucking in the product, so I'm just gonna blend it out with my fingers and do it again. But anyways, because Patroclus, our little main character, is a little twink, all the orphans who live with Peleus and Achilles don't really like him. Not because he is a twink, just because he is like really small and renty and he's kind of like antisocial, so basically just me. One day Achilles starts to notice him sitting at the dinner table just like by himself, and basically all the young dudes, they all hang out with Achilles because he's like the popular demigod. Like, of course, like he's a cool guy, of course you're gonna hang out with him. Okay, this is very pigmented, I wish I didn't do that. So fast forward a few weeks and they begin to get really close and hang out with each other more often until Patroclus actually ends up moving in with Achilles into his bedroom instead of sleeping with all the other boys in like the lodging because they sleep in separate rooms. And Patroclus actually ends up spending most of his days with Achilles because they're like best friends almost. They're literally those friends that everyone thinks is dating, but they're like, no, we're not, we're just friends. If you can't tell, I'm speaking from personal experience and I'm having war flashbacks. It was not a good time. Looking back, it was not a good time. So truth be told, I can't really remember what happens in between this. Achilles and Patroclus end up studying with this centaur named Chiron. A centaur is like a half horse and half human, so he's like human from the torso up, and then he's horse from the torso down. And he's basically a teacher for them who teaches them how to live off the land. He teaches Patroclus how to be like a doctor almost. The boys actually spend around 5 years with Chiron, and this is also where they start to realize that they don't have to hide their love for each other because no one's there to watch them and judge them. Because in case you couldn't already tell, they're gay, they're queer, they're in love with each other. They're mostly hiding their relationship from not really society, because they're more accepting about queer culture than we are now, but more so Thetis, who is Achilles' mother. Thetis is a sea nymph goddess, and she basically hates anyone who admires or loves Achilles because they're human. And she really hates humans because she was forced to have a child with a human, and then of course it was against her will, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later in like the conclusion of this part of the video. It's worth noting that being queer, like I said before, it wasn't really a big deal like in ancient Greek society, because it's only like recently after religion and colonialism, I'd say, like probably like religion and colonialism, where we've become a more homophobic society. I learned about this in history, so it's kind of like I kind of know what I'm talking about, but I also kind of don't. Let's move on. So all this is fine and dandy until soldiers from Achilles' father's army, they come to the hill that Chiron and Achilles live on, and they basically summon Achilles back to the castle. When they come back, Peleus tells Achilles that he has to fight in the Trojan War. So a bunch of stuff happens where Patroclus and Achilles try to evade the war, and this is also a time when Achilles cross-dresses and they both get assaulted, but I'll talk about that more later. But ultimately they're not very successful because they have to go eventually. One thing about Achilles, like the main thing that we need to know about him as a person and as a character, is that he is a demigod, and with being a demigod, he is very powerful. He comes with special powers such as like speed and agility, which makes him a really great fighter, and led to his destiny and the prophecy which said that he will help win the Trojan War and die a hero if he chooses to be one. So in this lore, forget Hercules, forget Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, they're both losing in a battle against Achilles, okay? They might be big, but he's a twink, and nothing beats the power of a twink. So the war happens over the span of about 7 years, I think, in the book, but we as the reader only get a look in on about 3 of those years, because it just passes very quickly in the book. Spoiler ahead, they both die. Patroclus and Achilles die. It's Patroclus who dies first, and this is because Achilles refuses to fight in the battle because of his ego. Someone offended him, and he was like, I'm not gonna fight for you if you're gonna be a bitch. Achilles' side of the war starts to lose, and everyone's like, bro, what the fuck, please fight in the war, like we're gonna lose, it's gonna be your fault, everyone's gonna hate you. And Patroclus is like, no, daddy, this isn't you, daddy, chill. But Achilles is like, no bro, I'm not fucking fighting in a war where people aren't gonna respect me. So Patroclus takes it upon himself to dress up as Achilles and fight in the war in his place, so that everyone thinks it's Achilles and his honor is restored, but really it's Patroclus. So Patroclus actually ends up dying in this part of the war because he gets a little too confident. He's like, oh, I can puncture someone with a spear? Let me keep doing that. Let me keep testing my luck. He tests his luck a little bit too much and he ends up dying. So because he gets killed, Achilles, rightfully so, is very distraught. He's very sad, but at the same time it's his fault. So I don't know what you're sad about, boy. And he goes on a rampage and starts murdering everyone and getting vengeance for Patroclus. So because Achilles is like, I'm not taking that, okay? I'm not just gonna sit down and take that. I'm not gonna like not retaliate. Who do you think I am? Because he's a petty little bitch. Honestly, I kind of applaud him for that, because I would too. I would too. So he ends up killing the guy who kills Patroclus, and then he ends up getting killed himself. A very powerful guy, with the help of a god, is able to shoot him with an arrow and kill him. And then the book basically ends with Thetis, Achilles' mom. She spreads Patroclus's ashes with Achilles' ashes because that was Achilles' dying wish, because he wanted to be together with Patroclus, but Achilles' son refused to do that because he's homophobic. So yeah, this book is definitely a tragedy, I would say, because they both die in the end. At the same time, it's also like a really happy ending because they do end up together, which is really sweet and it's kind of climatic, and that was really nice. But I do have a couple things to say about like the book in general and just like how it was written. So I'll just start with Thetis, who I think is arguably one of my favorite characters in the book. So if you've forgotten Thetis is Achilles' mother. She is a sea nymph, and she's portrayed in this book as a villain because she comes between Achilles and Patroclus several times. And I looked up it on Reddit, yes, I am a Reddit user, okay? I looked on Reddit and people generally don't like her very much. And let me read my script here. I can't help but feel a lot of empathy for her because she was assaulted by Peleus, forced to have Achilles, her child, and then watch her son grow up knowing his destiny was to die as a hero. And this is of course not true, because he doesn't die as a hero, because he actually doesn't help win the Trojan War. Yes, he does help win it, but it's actually after Achilles' death that the Trojan War is won. His son, I can't remember what his son's name, but his son is a little bitch, okay? His son is a fucking asshole, okay? Basically, his son helps win the Trojan War because he's very cruel, and I think he becomes known as like insert name, the Cruel, because he's such a weird guy. But basically, it's not even Achilles who wins the war, so what was the point of her watching her son suffer this whole time and die if he doesn't even become famous for winning the Trojan War because he didn't win? As I was saying before, I can't help but empathize with her because all she wanted was to see her son happy. Humans were ultimately the lead to his demise because he fought in the Trojan War, and then his love for Patroclus is what ultimately had him murdered. Like, I don't think it's justified. I can't blame her, you know? There's honestly so much I could say about her, but we simply do not have the time, so I'm going to keep moving on. Another thing I wanted to discuss about this plot is the normalization of essay in the book. I thought it was a little weird. Like, yes, of course, we know in history essay was very common. We even see it in like portrayals of shows and in the Bible and things like that, where people just kind of like saw women. They still do, but people would just see women as currency and objects and things to be done to. So yeah, it was very common. However, essay happened to probably every single woman in this book. Like, every woman who has a speaking role assaulted. What? It doesn't even like stop at the woman. It was even Patroclus and Achilles who were SA'd by the same girl. Huh? Did I hear that right?
The woman was too stunned to speak.
And that girl goes on to have Achilles' child who wins the Trojan War. And I'm pretty sure he actually never even ends up being the child. I don't think he ever wanted to, but still, it's like, what? So it was just really messed up to read, a little bit uncomfortable, I'd say. But another thing I disliked about with the book was the pacing. It really kind of gave me whiplash. Like, I was like, what happened? What timeline are we on now? What year is it? How old are they? Because what do you mean half the book occurs when Patroclus and Achilles are like 9 to 12 years old, and then the second half of the book spans from when they're like 13 to like 28? What? Like, it literally, the second half of the book literally occurs over a decade. Huh? Some years passed within a sentence, and some years passed within like several chapters. So as you can tell, it was a little bit disorienting to read, and you really had to pay attention. Obviously, you need to pay attention when you read a book, but it's like you have to like go back and check. As a reader, you shouldn't really have to do that, because just do better storytelling. Like, I don't know, get better? That sounds mean, but it's like, come on. As readers, we simply do not have time machines to go back into history and understand it fully, and then go read the book and be like, oh yeah, that happened, so that makes sense. Like, most people don't really know what was happening. The book should be told in a way that's easy to understand. Even though it's an adult novel, I'm pretty sure, it should still be digestible. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay, let's continue. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed reading the book. If what I said earlier about like the essay and just like the overall themes in the story, if none of that was triggering to you, then I definitely think you should read it, because I think it was worth it. I had a good time. The reviews on this book were actually quite polarizing, I noticed. Some people really loved it, some people really hated it. I'm one of those people who really loved it, and I rated it about 4. I think I rated it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I think is a really good introduction into queer literature if you've like never read it before. I highly recommend it as like an introduction, or just like continuing to read stuff, because it's really wholesome and nice. I'm not a man, so I can't speak on it through a male perspective, because it is a love story between 2 gay men and just general historical fiction. From an onlooker's perspective, it was really wholesome, and it made me really happy in some parts, really sad in some parts. Okay, so the next book I read is Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao.
We were in church, I said my love to her, and somebody heard. We haven't blocked eyes since I said a word.
If you haven't heard of this one, I'm also very surprised, because it's very popular on TikTok. But if you didn't know this book was released, I saw some websites say that it was released in 2021, and some said it was released in 2023 to 2024. I don't know what to believe, but I'm gonna assume it's 2021, because the copy I got from the library is quite rough. Like, it's been through some shit, and it says 2021, November 12th, so I'm gonna assume it was released in September 2021. But basically, the book got into some hot water for its ratings and reviews. Several books got into the hot water for this, and I think it's because like some people were rating it really badly. And of course, where this happened, this occurred on the hit website Goodreads. Honestly, shit always seems to be happening on Goodreads. I don't know why. The website is the most millennial coded janky website I've ever seen in my life. To the creators of Goodreads, hey girl, I love you lots. Please let me rate 0.5 stars, because I'm suffering here. I refuse to rate something 4 stars when it really deserves 3.5, because it's not as good as 4, but it's not as bad as 3. I pray. This means a lot to me. I've said it before, this is not a tea channel, so naturally I don't really know like the ins and outs of the controversy. I literally just told you everything I know about it. I did do some research last night because I did finish it last night, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do a little bit of research to see what the general consensus about the book is. I saw the scandals and I was like, oh, cool. And then I started watching a deep dive video and I was like, I don't care. I'm not watching this whole thing. Who cares? But what I did discover is that the author of this book is actually a YouTuber. And I discovered that I watched quite a few of their videos. That was a pleasant surprise to me. And honestly, I say this honestly, I feel like we would be friends. If they ever see this video, I will simply pass away. This is a message to my Lord and Savior, Author Zhao. And this is for Author Zhao only. Hey, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. Okay, so this book is a lot fresher in my memory. I'm gonna need you to close your eyes for me for a second. Close them. Stop peeking. Okay, so imagine that you're in ancient China, but instead of like all the technology that they had that was super old, we are living in a futuristic dystopian society, okay? Imagine this is like a cyberpunk, steampunk kind of universe. I personally found this a little confusing because even though I have taken 2 history courses which include ancient China in them, I still didn't know like a lot of what they were talking about. So I feel like if you know nothing about like ancient Chinese history, you're gonna have a little bit of a struggle reading this book, but that's okay. You'll figure it out. Anyways, picture that this is a society where everyone loves men and everyone hates women. I know, not hard to imagine. Keep going. Everyone here has a spiritual energy thing called qi. Now, if I pronounce this incorrectly, I apologize, but I tried. I looked it up on Google. So everyone here has the ability to channel their qi. This can be used to fight these huge Megatron demon things who attack humans for shits and giggles, because why not? Humans have the ability to go into this big ass armor. Think of like a transformer, but it's in the shape of like an animal. They can go into this armor, channel their qi, and from there, they can like use it to like punch out demons and stuff. It's kind of cool. Think of like Darling in the Franxx. That's what the book was based off of, I think. And also ancient Chinese history, and Wu Zhao, I think, who was the first and only female empress in ancient China. Cool stuff. So the people who professionally do this job by channeling their qi into becoming transformers, they are called pilots. And pilots use concubines. Have you heard of concubines before? Well, this is a new version. Concubines are women who give up their qi while the people are fighting, so they're in the Megatron transformer thing together, and then the pilot sucks out the qi from the woman, then he uses it to like power up the thing. Usually this results in the woman concubine dying because he uses up all her energy and then she's just kind of like, there's nothing left. So our main character, Zetian, her sister was a concubine. She croaked. She's out of the story. She's already dead before the story started. She wants to become a concubine so she can kill the guy who killed her sister. Are you following? Good. So she's freshly 18, she's got a bone to pick within society, and she's coming with rage. Almost a misandrist almost, but a firm feminist. Her qi is really strong, so she gets picked to be the concubine for the guy who killed her sister immediately. He's one of the strongest pilots there is out there. So they meet very quickly, and within a couple minutes of meeting each other, they are summoned to battle because the weird demon thingies are attacking. They fight. Zetian finds a way to get into his mind and murder him. That's right, gagged me. Not even 100 pages in, and she's already completed her revenge plot. He's dead. He's gone. So after the battle, the girls are gagged. Everyone's like, whoa, ain't no way she did that. Like, that's murder. And we also come to realize the pilot that she just killed is not the most powerful pilot. So because she was able to overrun his brain and kill him, they're like, oh, this girl has some use. Instead of imprisoning her, executing her, they're like, okay, you're gonna fight with this other guy. His name is Seaman. And Seaman is this brooding, muscular guy. He's got a bad attitude and an even worse criminal record. And this is what surprised me. He killed his entire family. People are just like, let's make him a pilot. Because his qi is so strong. They're like, we can't waste this guy's potential energy because we need that to survive the war. So that's the only reason why he's alive, so they can force him to fight against his will. So naturally this is like an enemies to lovers plot. Zetian mostly hates Seaman because he murdered his family, and she's like, how could you murder people? How could you murder all these concubines? Because he's so strong that every concubine that fights with him dies because he takes all their energy. And she's like, how could you do that? Like, that's awful, that's inhumane. You've killed over 100 women. But then they start to get closer because Seaman tells Zetian, bro, I killed my family because they assaulted a woman. I didn't want to live with them. They were bad people. They hurt my friend. He killed all his brothers and he killed his dad. His mom died when he was young, but that's a different story. There's also this guy named Yeezy. Basically, he is Zetian's childhood friend, but he's actually not poor like Zetian's family. He's a son of a very influential media personnel man guy, and he's like really rich. And he only met Zetian because he met her by accident because his hovercraft went into this forest and she just happened to be there, and he just kept returning every month to say hi and like talk. So they've been friends for like a couple of years and they're like best friends. This isn't like no surprise to anyone, I hope. Yeezy is in love with Zetian and she also kind of loves him back. He really did not want her to become a concubine because that he knew that she would probably die because most concubines do die. Zetian is one of the only people who doesn't die when she fights with seamen. They just fight every battle together instead of a new concubine every battle, because if she doesn't die then they may as well be super powerful and fight together because it's more productive. So here's the gag. Zetian and Yeezy are like very much in love, but she starts to get these feelings for seamen T. So oh no, what will she ever do? Have you ever heard of polyamory? Yes, bitch, you heard it. I honestly hate love triangles with a burning passion, and especially YA novels, because it's such a tired trope. It's so overdone and it's never done very well, might I add. And literally in the book they talk about like a love triangle very briefly. I think that's funny. Instead of Zetian having to choose between either Seaman or Yeezy, she just picks them both. She's like, both? And they basically kind of just become a throuple, and this is because both Seaman and Yeezy are both painfully bisexual, heavily in love with each other. I think they love each other more than they love Zetian, but that's just like a hot take. They're very wholesome and cute together. I think it's really sweet. So a major theme in this book is feminism and gender roles within society, which I've seen people say is like a detriment to this book. Like the author doesn't do it very well, but in my opinion it fits and it's not even that bad. Like, have y'all seen the Barbie movie? Listen, I'm not shitting on the Barbie movie, I'm just saying it's very introductory to feminism and just like society in general. It's like a feminism for dummies, or like feminism 101. Like, it's not anything like earth-shattering. So I don't get why people get so like mad about this book. Also, I think I really like this lip tint on my lips. It looks very nice. And so later in the book, as the plot goes on, Zetian does a little bit of digging. She's doing a little bit of investigating, and we find out that women can actually be pilots too instead of just concubines. The only reason why this doesn't happen is because the government is misogynistic, and so is the society that they live in, and basically everything else. Like, it's... Are we surprised? No, we're not surprised. So Zetian even goes on to pilot a dragon with an old emperor who was frozen in the earth. This is like stuff that you'd have to figure out if you read the book, but I'm not gonna talk about it because it's not that interesting. And it happens like right at the end of the book. But basically what we discover, the only reason why concubines keep dying in battle is because the government specifically designs the transformer creature things that they pilot to limit the amount of tea that a concubine can use to power the machine. So basically they are not working at their full capacity and they're severely limited. Male to female pay gap. Ooh, I'm seeing parallels. Basically they can't use their tea to their full potential, and that makes them die because the men have the ability to overpower the women and take all of their tea to use for themselves. So Zetian's like, why the fuck would you do that? And the book ends with this massive battle where, spoiler, Seaman dies and Zetian flies a dragon. So overall I read this book about 4 to 5 stars, mostly because the dialogue and the world building in this book was a bit disorienting and contradictory. Let me read you this little passage. Let me make something clear. I am not coming on this trip because I never miss a chance to go to Chang'an. This has nothing to do with you or your creepy partnership with a literal murderer. She swivels the palm to Simon. Full offense. I butchered the shit out of that, okay? I'm sorry. No, who says full offense in ancient Chinese society? Like, I know this is a modern take, but I don't know, it just feels really inconsistent, and there's quite a few occurrences in this book where the language that they use is just, like, I don't know how to put it. It just doesn't fit. It's just, like, misplaced. I think it's just to lighten up the mood a bit, to keep it YA and to keep it, like, fun. But for me, it just kind of takes me out of the book and makes me question, like, huh? What? Why did they do that? Like, I don't know, that might just be me being like super nitpicky and annoying, but it was something that I noticed and I just kind of wanted to talk about it really quickly. Also, do you guys remember this lipstick? I got it from the dollar store. Matte black lipstick, Suicide Boys Who. This cool little skull on it. Cute. So I'm gonna try to like use it to blend it a little bit. I really like how bright the red is. This is maybe like a soft goth at most. Don't come at me in the comments, please. I know, but yeah, that's really the only critique I had about the book. Actually, no, I want to say Zetian is a freaking hypocrite. I really don't understand, like I kind of do, but I also don't understand why she gets so mad at Simon for killing concubines against his will. He was forced to fight. He had to kill them because he had to win the battle or else he would be killed. Zetian has the audacity to be like, how'd you kill all those women? How'd you kill your family? How'd you do all that and like still live every day with a guilty-free conscience? Like, bro, he's like really guilty about that. He feels really bad. She's like, how could you be a murderer? However, let's run it back, girl. Why did you become a concubine in the first place? To get revenge and murder the man who murdered your sister. All right. How many people did you kill throughout the entire story? Quite a few. So yes, she has killed less than 10 people. Simon has killed probably around 100. They're not really comparable, but can she really be absolved of her crimes just because she did it within good faith? Like, really? Did she? That being said, she is a wonderful anti-hero in my humble opinion. We see her motivations are not very good. She wants to murder people and seek vengeance, which is not necessarily a thing you see commonly in heroes, because we see that even though sometimes her motives are in good faith, she is still a very heavily flawed person. We see that she genuinely wants to make a good difference within society, but she goes about it in a really bad way, in my opinion. And we see that she's just as compassionate as she is cruel, especially with her family, because her and her sister were heavily mistreated by her family, and she's very cruel. It goes as far as to say that she wishes that her family would die. She would rather them die than help them out. And she does have a turn of heart, and she does allow them to move into the city and away from the danger, because they would previously live on the front of the war, so they could be like attacked at any moment, really. But when her family is ultimately used against her in the end of the book, spoiler alert, she does kill them. She crushes them like without hesitation. That is a level of unbothered that I wish to have in my life. No, I don't want to commit first-degree murder, but I would like to be less stressed out and anxious all the time. That would really help with my life, I think. Being an overthinker is truly one of the worst fates. A fate worse than death, I would assume. Okay, can we just take a minute to appreciate this video in general? Because specifically the combination of the books. Hear me out. Both of these authors studied history. Madeline Miller studied, I think, ancient Greek history, and Ziran Zhao studied ancient Chinese history, I believe. And then they moved on to write a queer novel, mostly queer, in Ziran's case, mostly queer novels about history and historical figures. Both books have gotten into hot water amongst the fans and Goodreads, and they both die in the end. Well, Zetian doesn't die, but Simon does die. Anyways, I'm a fucking genius. Anyways, I'm all done. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to say it, but oh, my mirror. Okay, fuck. I'm just gonna hold it. I almost forgot to say it, but I really strongly recommend these books. I'm gonna put my glasses on. Hold on. I really strongly recommend these books because, whoopsie. 1, queer. 2, make me happy. 3, pretty well written. 4, generally unproblematic authors. I thought they were fun reads. I probably didn't do them justice in my explanation today because it's been a while. It's been a while since I've done these YouTube videos. But yeah, I totally think you should read them, and let me know if you have or haven't read them, and let me know if you will read them because that would be really cool. Yeah, I think that's all. Also, let me know if you like this makeup look because I can't really decide if I like it or not. I don't know how I'm feeling. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. If you didn't, leave a hate comment and keep me humble. Once again, I just want to say thank you for 150 something subs. That's really cool. Didn't think that many people would care, but it's nice that people do. Feel free to leave any book recommendations, any music recommendations, goth movie recommendations, really anything you want in my comments, as well as any thoughts and opinions that you had about the books. Did you read them? Did you not read them? I don't know, but let me know if you want. But anyways, I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you for watching. I'll say bye.